This is a very special documentary about an extraordinary man. A man who is an author, a man who is a banker, a man who's in love. Help me welcome Pradeep. How are you?
Thank you very much, Dr. Madeline Tadman and Mr. Charles.
Yes.
You know, it is my honor and it is my privilege that I have come to your studio. This is my fourth time. Now, last time, when I came, we talked about my one book, My Connie, and second time you were very kind enough to make a documentary on the same book, My Connie. And this is my third time which I have written another book which is called Untold Secret, My Connie, My First and Last Love with Medical Negligence. So now this book basically has reflected the malpractice and the negligence and the conspiracy which took place in my wife's years, and when she died on the 27th February 2015 at 1 o'clock in the night. And since then I was crushed, and the most painful thing was that on that day in the morning, her real brother, Michael Fuller, he called me and he asked me, he said, Pradeep, where is Connie? And I said, Mike, she had died. And I did not know that he was already involved in her saying, okay, let her die on 27th. So this was a conspiracy. So he pretended, that I was stupid, that I will never find out. So he asked me, he said, Pradeep, where is Connie? So I said, Mike, she has died. He said, I'm sorry, Pradeep, but I will not be able to come because I'm going to have a surgery. And then his wife told me, Pradeep, at least she's in peace and you have been very good husband, and we will not be able to come. And if you want, do you want us to let the children know? I said, so it is up to you. But I'm doing the cremation, on next Tuesday, and like that. So then he asked me, he said, Pradeep, do you know anything about her finances? I said, no, Mike, I don't. He said, well, you better know because you have been married to her for over 44 years. You got to know. And why don't you give me the name? So I said, well, Mike, I don't know. So he said, well, you better hire an attorney because her money will go into the probate. So then I told Sue, I said, listen, Sue, you don't have to worry about it because Connie has left some money for your children, So she said, oh, that would be wonderful. So this basically was the most painful thing that has happened to me, and I will try to be, thinking of all my lifetime. But that was not a nice gesture, and they never even came actually. That is the real brother. And I think later on, when I found out, that her name was appeared, on the 27th February, and that was a conspiracy. Because her after the cardiac arrest, her tubes had to be taken out on March 2nd, and with my thing, and I was just making a decision. But in my absence on the 27th, when I was just gone for an hour with leaving my, this home care girl, Florida Harris, and she told me, Pradeep, you can come later, I will be here. So when I reached there at 1 o'clock, everything was over. Dr. Bruce Brockstein had already discussed with him, and Michael Fuller had no right to basically budge into this thing, and he basically let that doctor give, that he has this power of attorney, whereas the power of attorney was with me.
So you had no, they took away your rights.
Yes, they
to make decisions.
Yes, they took away they took away the right of my constitutional right that it was my duty because Constance Berry, she was my wife. And it is clearly with the...
And you had the power of attorney.
Yes, I had the documentary power of attorney, which says, very clearly that my husband, Mr. Pradeep Kumar Berry, he will make all the decisions during my lifetime. And in case, he exists, he happens to die, and then the power of attorney will go to her brother Michael Fuller.
What did you think the purpose of that was for?
The purpose of that was, basically, I think Dr. Bruce Brockstein, he was her oncologist, and he has ruined her case. And because he was very worried about his lawsuit, after especially when I took Connie to Mayo Clinic on November 1st, and over there in 4 days Mayo Clinic has ruled out she was a palliative care. And Dr. Bruce Brockstein had given her extra chemotherapy, and then Dr. Winslow, who was a pulmonary doctor, He never did any bronchoscopy, and then instead of that, he started giving her an inhaler, which is called Dulera medicine, and that is given to the asthma patients, And then there was a water in her lungs, which was a cancer letter, and then basically she had water in her lungs, and they did not remove the last 37 mm water, which becomes like an ice in her air wings, in her lungs,
Were you informed about what was really going on with your wife at that time?
Yes, I was informed fully, and I was 24/7 over there. I never left my wife even for a single. And then it was a thing. What happened was, when we came back from Mayo Clinic on November 6th, 2014, immediately I called Dr. Bruce Brockstein, who was an oncologist for her, and then he never returned the call. And then I called the chairman, Dr. Kendekar, and he told me that Mr. Berry, I'll make sure somebody will call, and he called me twice, but never called. So then on 25th November 2014 at 6:30, Dr. Bruce Brockstein left a message to Mr. and Mrs. Berry. I'm sorry I could not call you, and I'm going on vacation. If you want to call me today, but I want you to see Dr. Merkel. Dr. Merkel is the breast cancer, and Dr. Merkel is the same person who basically was able to not diagnose her cancer in 2005, because Connie had a cancer in 2002, breast cancer, and it was Dr. Merkel. Later on in 2004, Connie had some infection in her ear, and she went to Dr. Dr. Merkel, and he said, I have no concern. So then after 3 months, she went to her doctor Jeffrey Schumberger, and he did the biopsy, and he found out she had a very parotid gland cancer. And that's how then she took another 7-hour surgery, and that was the day when I left my job. It was on 31st March 2005, and since then I have not worked. I stayed with Connie, and every appointment I was going, and they knew this thing that Pradeep is fully devoted to Connie, and I was. So then now Dr. Bruce Brockstein, who's a head and an oncologist, he was the one who ruined her case. And finally went to Mayo Clinic, and we came back with palliative care. And Connie told me, Pradeep, I don't think Dr. Bruce Brockstein will call me. He might be chomping because his lawsuit is coming. So earlier he ruined my life, and now he's taking my life. And she was right. So then he left, and then he left a message that we should go and see Dr. Merkel. And we saw Dr. Merkel, and Dr. Merkel asked me very clearly, Mr. Berry, who was on the team? And I said, well, Dr. Bruce Brockstein, Dr. Winslow, and Dr. Whitney. He said, who else? So then he said, listen, Mr. Berry, I'm not going to follow what Mayo Clinic said. I am going to give her, because I am in this practice for 3 years, 35 years, and they should have consulted me. So then he gave a chemotherapy in December 2014, January, and her last chemotherapy was on February 7th. But unfortunately, she came home because she had shingles. So now her next chemotherapy was on the 20th of February at around 12:30. So now unfortunately she fell down on 20th morning, and I tried to rescue her. She had to go to the bathroom. So then her pulse was very down. So then I called the ambulance. So they took her to the Mayo Clinic, to the Evanston Hospital. Over there, and this is the knowledge for somebody, I saw the code DNR. So DNR means do not register me. So I talked to Connie, and she told me, Pradeep, I don't know what kind of a life I will have. So then she changed the code. And Dr. Woods and Dr. Fisher, they changed the code to full code. Now on 22nd February at 6:30, 2015, she was eating salad, and suddenly she got cardiac arrest. And now they were confused, and they did not perform the CPR until I shouted, If I was
Why?
Yes, I just don't know. I think it was a medical negligence, because their machines were not changed, and they did not know that the DNR code was changed, And I saw that, and I was there. And now after 8 minutes, they performed the CPR. Now you tell me, Dr. Mellon, if I was not right, why would they do the CPR? Either it has to be yes or no. Now they realize that Mr. Berry is very strong, so then they scared to death, and they performed the CPR, and I made the full videos over there. Now she was on a life support. Now in the evening, one of the nurse, his name was Ron Mack, And he told me, he said, I said, Ron, what is happening? He said, Mr. Berry, I don't know, I cannot understand why it took them 8 minutes or 9 minutes to perform the CPR, and I think she will have to have a damage, either she will have a stroke, she may have lose memory, she will have some brain damage, but something will happen. But we will not know until the March 2nd, So I was alerted all the time. So then there was a director, Ruth, and she was started telling me that, Mr. Berry, I don't want you to be here 24 hours, So I got suspicious. Now on the 20th, so they basically tried to get rid of me, and I saw Dr. Bruce Blockstein there hanging around there, and he had no reason, and he left even a paper that he wanted to talk to me. So then on the 20th...
What did you get suspicious about at that time when they wanted you to leave?
I become suspicious, because I think they knew this thing that Mr. Berry is a very strong power, and they wanted to do something. I think it was, in my own opinion, it was like a conspiracy that Connie should not go for further either pain, or the trek, where they, when they take out the tubes, so they had to put a little small hole. And then with the small hole, what happens, they told me that if you want, we can insert a small little bit hole which is called the tracker, and then she can go to the other hospital in Mount Prospect, it is called Holy Family Hospital. And they said, well, you can take her there and you will have to stay there with the rehabilitation. And I was fully prepared, and I asked Connie about it, because she was not able to think. So I wrote a letter, to her, and I said, Connie, do you want your brother to come? She said no. And do you want me, that your brother to know everything? She said no. And then she was very angry because her brother had never bothered with her, and especially the children also, they never saw. And so she was very upset, and I know the Connie. And also, Marlon, just so you know, her last Christmas was in 2012. 2012, basically that was, and that because we had to go there. They could never come to see Connie. And these kind of, but they were willing to take her money, Connie was so nice, that she was writing them checks, for every Christmas, and they were cashing it. And they never even came to see her own sister, After I'm the family of that for 44 years, So this is basically the most ridiculous, and that basically brings us to this subject of humanity. That brings us to the subject, what kind of a life we are living in this world, When money has become the only greed, that you just invite people only when there is a Christmas time, you invite people when there is a gift time, you invite, this is what they want, and what a shame, this Michael Fuller and Sue Fuller, they basically took my mother-in-law against her wishes and dumped her in the Ripon, And she, that poor lady, 85 years, because they found out, that they was afraid that Connie may not take all the money. And Connie was the most, what do you call, giver, She was a giver. She was not.
So you were in a situation where your beloved wife is in the hospital, dying.
Yes.
And then you have greed.
Yes.
That's all in the situation.
Yes.
You have greed, and then here you are confused and not knowing what's going on with your wife, not understanding what's going on with the doctors, and feeling skeptical, not feeling comfortable about anything. All these things happening around the same time, and you're losing your beloved wife. I believe there are people out there that's watching this today that are going through the exact same thing that you went through. Perhaps they may have a loved one that's in the hospital, that's in hospice, that's literally passing away, just passing away. And then there are family members that are full of greed. And then there are people that have a loved one, they have not been educated. I believe it was a situation with you, was that the hospital did not educate you properly.
No.
Did not ask you, did you fully understand what was going on?
Actually, they told me that my rights are that I can take her for the palliative care, and they promised me under the oath. They told me on the Friday, on the 27th, after the tubes, they said, Mr. Berry, your wife Connie looking much better, and I think you can take
So they
her
turned
home.
it around.
Yeah, they turned it around, and then they finally came that we basically don't have any bed in the hospital, and they also told me that actually.
So your fear came to hope.
Yes, I was pretty hope, that Connie is not going to die, but they let her die. because they did not want to perform.
Oh my, this is really confusing.
It
It's really confusing. In one moment she's dying,
yes,
and then now she's going to be okay,
yes,
and you can take her home.
Yes, they told me that you can take her home, and then they told me that, you know, I think it is better that we should put her in a, you see, in the hospital, they have special room for the palliative care. And they said we are going to take her downstairs on the second floor because she was on the fourth floor. And they said we are going to take her on the second floor and we will put it in the palliative care and she will be fine. And after 2 days, you know, you can take her home. This is exactly they told me. And then later on they came and they said, Mr. Berry.
What happened within those 48 hours?
I think that basically somebody must have changed, you know, that let her die, you know. I'm sure of that. Oh my God. You know. In the hospital, and that is the mentioned hospital, such a big thing, they wanted her that she should die, you know, because they found out at that time that Michael Fuller and they have already have consented, you know, so that gave them a more leverage. I think when they were looking into the paper, they were very smart, you know. They basically lied to me that, you know, you can take her home. So was it
that maybe something that was not documented and somehow or another they missed it?
You see, the thing was, it was Friday. Dr. Brockstein was, all these big doctors, you know, who make money and they make a decision, you know, and they are very well protected against with the attorneys, you know. They don't give a damn. So they basically give the small thing to the nurses, you know. The nurses were very nice. They wanted that Mr. Berry should not lose their wife, you know. But what can they do when their documentation was there that, you know, they are not going to do anything more palliative care. So when the order was already written, now you tell me, I did not know that Michael Fuller and Dr. Brockstein had already discussed about her case at 1 o'clock, between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. I only found out when I requested the medical records. Otherwise, I would not have known. And I basically told this thing to Michael when I found out. I called him. I said, Mike, you know, did you get a call from them? He said, yes, Pradeep. I said, why did you do this thing? He said, Pradeep, I did not know. I thought you were in the room. Even if I was in the room, who are you to basically? Then why didn't you talk to me? And even if I was not in the room, why didn't you call me on my cell phone and say, hey, Pradeep, you know, they called me. Now, what do you want to do? See the difference?
What do you think was behind all of this?
Behind what it was that I think, in my own opinion, you know, they thought, you know, let her die, you know, because they want money. They want money, and they got money, and they never came. Simple it was. They knew this thing that Connie has money, you know, or maybe she will leave money or whatever, and they were so money minded, you know. You tell me one thing. They basically took away my mother-in-law and dumped her in the Ripon in the nursing home. And also, let me tell you openly, Mike Fuller and Sue Fuller. Sue has an auntie. Her name is Laura Streka. Laura Streka was worth about $13-14 million, you know, because, you know, she was you know, she come from the family where there were none of them they were got married except Sue's mother Violet, and she was married to a very nice person, Larry. So actually, so what happened, you know, then Laura was a very nice person, so she was worth $1 million, and she was going to leave all the money to them in any case, you know, because she was never married, she never. So I think sometimes the greed is too much, you know. You remember that
But what I'm trying to understand, and I think what everybody wants to really understand is what happened in the last 48 hours. Who do you think was responsible for her passing? If the doctor said that she's going to be okay, all of a sudden everything shifts and changes. What happened in that last 48 hours?
I have the feeling, you know, they basically, she was getting better as far as I am concerned, you know, and I don't know, her tubes when had to be come out on March 2nd. She was looking fantastically fine. She was medically very alert, you know. They took out the tubes, you know. She was very alert. Now you tell me, after that she was not given any treatment and her tubes were taken out around 3 o'clock. And immediately she was in full senses. She was talking to me. And then immediately after that, you know, they did something which basically was not. And I have the feeling at that particular time, you know, they did the stand-off hospice, you know. And because I remember not even a single person come, and I have the full video and I can prove it, between 4:30 until 7 o'clock, not even a single person came, and I was making a video. and I have 55 minutes video with me, then not even a single person in a hospital where I'm shouting, they say, yes, what can we do, phone is ringing, and that's evidence I have, and I can prove it to the court or the judge, I can prove it, and I will love to see that whole thing. This goes to our President Donald Trump, and I want the Constitution should be changed. That this law, this people killing, basically, and they may have thought of about, he's Indian, he does not know. Maybe there was a prejudice thing, but they don't know that I'm a pretty strong person, I'm a banker, and so it was because of my aggressiveness that I was even able to have her a cardiac arrest, and it was because of my aggressiveness that I even told Dr. Catherine Demont and thing that you are full of this thing, and I used some very language, and I was very gutsy that I even called FBI, and FBI told me that if Mr. Berry, if you had called the police, we would have investigated, So there was a chance, and I think I am angry because I don't want this thing to happen to anybody else, I want people to learn. I want the whole world. I want the whole world.
What is it that you want the whole world to learn?
I want to know this thing, that whenever somebody of your loved ones, is in the hospital, you must be there and know exactly what is happening. Go there and check out what is the next thing. See if there is a DNR code. DNR code means when something have if
not only ask questions but look at documentation.
Look at the documentation. Look at your willpower. You look at your what treatment they are giving. Because patient does not know. And Connie was very sick. She was incapacitated. She was on oxygen. She was basically on oxygen. She did not even she could not even wash her clothes. She could not even wash herself. I mean, this kind of a treatment in the United States of America, which is one of the best countries and advanced country, if we cannot correct in this country, let's hope that it does not happen in other countries.
Your book is definitely going to change lives.
Yes, I think so.
Your book is an inspiration.
Yes,
to a degree, it's educational.
Yes. And I hope that this book goes and all the money. Every single thing, money will be given to the poor people for donation, anybody, charity.
You have your Connie Foundation.
Connie Foundation, I have
Yes.
Connie Foundation, and then Connie has her own foundation, which is Mrs. Constance and Foundation in University of Michigan. Then she has a foundation, from the Carleton College, and then she left money for the St. Jude's Hospital, North Shore Hospital, Mayo Clinic. She left everything. This is life.
Yes.
Unless we live in this world of humanity, I think we might as well. Swami Vivekananda said, how long this life is for? Do something different so that the world can remember you. Otherwise, where there is a difference between the stone, trees, and they also live and decay and die. People have to do something.
What are your views on humanity?
Well, I think this world is still existing, because we are 98%, 99%, people are still good, Good people are there.
They are.
And I think this world is living because there are still good things. God is still there. Hope is there, Never deprive somebody from the hope. That may be the only thing they may have.
Yes.
And I think there are good people. Look at you. You basically go out of way, you are helping people, Christian TV, your husband is there, studio is there, you have invited me, and I written these books not just to get popular, I mean, it is my love, it is my humanity, it is my new, it's a new wave in my life, which came when I saw all this tragic thing happening.
Very positive.
Very positive.
Very positive.
Yes.
Very positive wave
Yes.
in your book, in your story.
Yes.
To be able to share with other people about what happened with you.
And many people are telling me that, it is a waste of time. And what can I do? Your body is meant to be restored, to do what it needs to do, And when you do something good, God always helps you.
Yes.
God helps those who help themselves.
Absolutely.
And I think we cannot just sit in the thing and think that God is going to help. You have to help yourself. And there is some power. I believe there is some power which is giving us this thing. Now I wrote in this book, which has become a very lyrics. And I got a very thing that he said Mr. Berry's book has not only that, it is the lyricstic, that when he saw his body was, wife was dying, he mentioned in this book that I see that the Connie's book shining, lying down, what was missing? Breath. Actually, when we die, we just go and our only thing which is gone, breath, Our ears are the same, eyes are the same, hands are the same. What is missing? Breath. And the breath is a power of God, If we cannot bring that breath, if we can bring the breath, life is there. But one thing I know for sure, what I read, and which I believe, that your body is basically is gone, but your soul is there. And the Lord Buddha said that this body is given to us by our parents. It is nourished by food, and it has to destroy one day. Lord Krishna said that it is your soul never dies. Now I'm sure that Connie is watching me. Maybe she's with me. Maybe she's in the format of somewhere else, but she will meet me. And I think my message to this whole people is that
Connie lives on.
Connie lives on.
Yes.
This world will live on. I will live on as long as I'm alive. And my part of life, which is giving me happiness, that whatever knowledge I have, whatever way I have, either the writing, basically my background is in banking. I have been working in the banking industry for the last 37 years, and I left banking, and I am expert.
Do you see yourself going back? I mean, you have all this time now. I'm sure Connie wants you to live a life of adventure and explore the world and do great things. Do you see yourself going back into banking, perhaps?
I don't know whether I will go or not, but I still feel that I should contribute, If not monetary, but at least I should leave some legacy of education. Education is one of the best things you can have, is ocean,
Yes.
And I think it is my responsibility, it is our duty to share knowledge, If you
Powerful.
if you don't share knowledge, it is a sin. You should share your knowledge, leave behind, somebody, you can make somebody's life, even if you make a difference of one person, Now, let me give you an example. Lord Buddha, when he got enlightenment, after 22 years, he was silent. He was silent, and everybody asked him, that why he's silent, So after that, when he opened his first thing, he said, the people who knows me, they understand my silence. And the people who don't know me, even if I say something, they will misunderstand me. So as a result of that, I adopted silence. My purpose is that if I can make a change after a billion people, one person, my enlightenment is there, Yes. I cannot change the whole world, but I can still make some difference, Yes. I went to University of Delhi just recently. I met some students. It was a very, very, very stimulation, very nice place for me. And I think I talked about Vedanta, I talked about books, I talked about banking, I talked about singing, and...
So you're ready for tours, you're ready to travel,
I am ready to travel as long as I am doing some productive work,
Yes.
I am doing some productive, I think I'm totally involved now in the humanity, in the education, in the writing the books, and my next book, which we are going to be talking about, the empowerment of women. No.
Yes.
No.
Hot topic.
Yes.
What are your views on that?
Well, actually, I think it's time, that we change the world. That the woman should be given the more power, Women, basically, if you think about a woman.
And, as women, we don't want more power than men. I will tell you that. What we want is equality.
Well, it's not a question of more power. It's a question of either equality, and I think sometimes if you give more power to women, that is better, because you're, in Chanakya, 521 BC. I have written in my book also. He says that your wife is not only your wife; she's your best friend. She not only a wife, best friend. She acts like a sister, and she acts like a mother too.
Very true.
And wife,
yes.
and wife can be a mother. I remember one time, in 93, I was going to Northwestern University, Kellogg, and suddenly I got some infection, and I had to go to this surgeon, and he told me that, Mr. Berry, you will have to have a surgery. So I really, ma'am, doctor, I was really lying down on the like a mother to my thing, and Connie was helping me. She said, Pradeep, don't worry, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Because I was worried, that I have to go to college, I have to go to, I remember I was going to go to Charleston, West Virginia. There was a trucking company, G.L. McCoy, and my flight was on Sunday with Piedmont. It was in '83, and I was going to college. At that time, my company had sponsored me for Kellogg Graduate School of Management, and I really was like a mother. She helped me, and I went to.
Well, that's who we are. Women are nurturers.
Women.
We are known as carriers. We carry everything,
and the beauty,
and we nurture.
And the beauty of the thing is, my uncle one time, told me in England. He said, "Son, look at the beauty of the wife. Wife surrender herself to the man." There is so much value in this woman, And Swami Vivekananda said that other than your wife, rest of the woman is your sisters or mother. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing. But we treat? Other day I was reading, about this in the Georgia law, in Georgia right now in Atlanta. I'm so happy that your governor has passed this law about the human trafficking. It really bothers me that it's a billions and billions dollars worth of human trafficking, where they bring girls, young girls, and the average age of the girl, they bring it, is 12 to 14 years.
Yes, right.
12 to 14 years, and what a shame, to our humanity that we are going to do this raping, and labor's law, sex, every single thing. Go all over the world, basically these girls are basically being prostitutes, I think there's no law. It's a shame, How would a man will feel if his own daughter, if his own sister is being rescued and put into the prostitution, How would they feel? How would the President Obama or how would President all these people, will feel when if their own daughter is into the...
Absolutely.
How would they feel, now these people are killing, soldiers are killing. How come, this our government, their senators, their children, politicians, how come they are not going to the soldiers, Why they basically, it's a discrimination. I think the other thing which bothers me in the United States of America especially, or all over the world, the uneven distribution. Some people are making millions, All the CEOs. I remember, I was dealing with United Airlines, and this Stephen Wolf, we lend money to the, to the United Airlines, and this guy was making $138 million, and whereas the employees, basically it was a stock option company, and they were making $10. And they are running the business, and these capitalists are people, they are looting the country.
That is such a common thing.
That things have to be changed. Things have to be changed.
It's almost like it's normal. If there is anything that you could do to make a change in that, what would you do?
Unless we voice, nothing is going to change. We think, that we cannot. Man has made the mess, and only man has to correct it.
Man has to clean it up.
Yes, and people like you, me, we start. I can tell you, we can change the law.
Yes.
But we are so busy. We think, oh no, let it do. We don't try to understand our responsibility. We have certain responsibility in this world, We are living, we are basically attached, with our own system, But it has to be stopped, We should give enough time, little bit time, 24 hours. We have 24 hours, in the thing. Now in 24 hours, you can do lot of things. People get Saturday and Sunday off. They can do something, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours.
You are such a brilliant man.
Well, actually you are a brilliant man too.
You are brilliant.
You have to find time. I never believe in one time when people say, well, I don't have time. The people who say they are lazy, they don't want to do anything. You have to make time.
Well, we all have time, and we're all given the exact amount of time, but it's really up to us on what we do with that time. God hasn't given me any more time than what He's given you. We all got 24 hours in a day.
I wish sometimes...
It's what we do with it.
I wish God has given me 48 hours a day. I can keep myself so busy, Because time is a thing, We can, every single count, you can time, And some people, they come They do work, some people, they come home, they just sit down in the TV, all this TV thing, Facebook, all this technology. Gandhiji said that the more the technology, more the destruction. Yes, there is a technology. We are happy. We are making a documentary. It's going to the Facebook. It's going all over the world.
Sometimes technology can be a distraction.
It is a distraction.
Yeah.
Look at all these people, who used to read papers. No reading. They just on Facebook. They don't know anything. Our education, our intellectual level, our intelligence, is going down because we are so hooked up, all the time on this thing. We don't read. Look at the. I was reading the other day the business of this newspaper. It has gone down tremendously. Now everything people want to write or read on the news. How many people are basically reading the newspaper? Wall Street, the market is low. Wall Street Journal, New York Times. How many people read that? That is why they are raising the price. Reaction brings action. Action brings reaction.
Wow, that's good.
If there is a reaction, you will take action. If there is no action, there is no reaction. So everything is a question of demand and supply. It's a two double edge. When either you spend money on your Facebook, or you spend your time on the newspaper. Now when the people say we spend on time, now most of the people, they don't have landlines in their houses, because they just hook
everything is mobile.
And they think, we are making a program. Yes, it is great. They look nice, they like put on nice jeans, and they're cute, But that does not help the humanity. That helps them. But we have a responsibility. I'm a particular person that we have to do something for our country now. We cannot expect that our president, Mr. Donald Trump, is going to do overthink. He does not have a magic thing, He has to work with us, And we, basically, whether he's a Republican, whether he's a Democrat, I don't care. Everybody is a nice person, I respect Donald Trump, I respect Donald.
We all have to work together.
We all have to work together, And if he is not in our favor, we can make him in favor, Tell him that we love you. People hate him, because it is just politics. That's what basically doing the thing. Whenever the politics come in the thing, self-centered, there's a distraction, We should never forget one thing, nature. Whenever, we are doing nature, look at, all this crime. Look at right now we are going through the war between India and Pakistan. Look at the people, fighting with the Russians, where there is the thing, in that case, Malthism. In Malthism theory, he was mentioned that whenever a human being does something, wrong, the nature takes its place, The nature always have an idea that they want to keep the balance in total. And if the nature basically goes against, we see what? War, we see tsunami, we see earthquake, we see every single thing. Those are all parts, Time and tides.
Wow.
Nobody can take away from anybody. Time is the most essential thing, You do the timings, I mean, basically, look at me. I think about it, when George Bush came. Now, he basically had no idea that Iraq, he just thought he will just play a little bomb and get the oil. He did not realize that if we kill Saddam Hussein, there will be millions of Saddam Hussein came, bright. The answer was, at that time I was joking with Connie. I said, what they should do. All these people, George Bush and all his team, and this his assistant, what was the name, who has 100 heart attacks, Vice President Dick Cheney, and this guy, who was his defense minister, they should all go put on their black thing, go and ask for forgiveness, Forgiveness is a very good thing in life. But beautiful. It does not happen. Swami Vivekananda said, if you can forget and forgive, it ends everything. But sometimes it is very difficult, to happen because we have ego. Ego is the one thing which basically is a distraction to this country, to the world, The once the ego goes away, it is there. I was watching yesterday there was somebody sent me a letter, there this guy, it's a true story. This guy, he basically was very, very poor, Suddenly he won a lotto and then he invested money, so he became multi-millionaire now. Now he basically was the person, who was helping him. He was a construction worker, and now when he saw the construction worker, he misbehaved with him, and it bothered him, And then finally, and then finally his own wife, she told him. She said, "Do you remember, your own time? That how you were poor, So never forget your old time, Always remember that where you come from. The moment you forget your roots, that's the cause of destruction,
Yes.
And regarding now going back on this humanity, I think we all have a duty that we should do something for the even if humanity does not mean that we have to help them with money. We can give them education. We can give them a food, We can just even a smile. Sometimes even a smile is good, Is somebody's guy. I remember,
to take action with something.
I remember I have written in my book, My Connie. I saw a commercial long time back. There was a program called Wanted on the TV. Wanted, FBI and every single thing. So there was a guy. He became a billionaire, and he remember that about 70 years ago, when he was crossing the road, from the Denver and from the Colorado. From the, he was illegal, so he was just crossing, he got lost. So then he was crying, So one American guy, he gave him $1. And he said, don't cry. Go this thing, you will go to America. And he came to America. And after 40 years, he became billionaire, and he was looking and crying looking for that man, I will never forget it.
Amazing, yeah.
And that's what basically I wrote in my book, Wanted, There was a television show, Wanted, That was basically the thing. When I came to this country, when I met Connie first time, Connie met me in the Indian restaurant, Now, look at me. Look at my life. I never had a penny. Never had a penny. The reason was because I lost my mother when I was 2 months old. My brother was 11 months old. After that, my father married her younger sister. Then she also died, leaving a child, my sister, 2 hours old. After that, my father married the third one. So now third one came. She had to do what she had to do. She never wanted to accept me, my brother, or my sister, So then we were taken care of our grandparents, So then we never got any money from them. So that's why when I came to this country, I only had $7, and the ticket was not even paid by me. Ticket was paid by my cousin's husband, Mr. B. Bhim Hans, It was very nice of him to
Your
invite me.
entire purpose and destiny was to be in the United States of America.
And then I came. I was working in the restaurant, and she came after days. I landed on the 15th. She met me on the 24th. 28th, we got married, and we have no regrets, after this. This was one of the best thing happened in my life. And she made my life, into this, converting me into. That's the power of the woman. Now you tell me the woman, she was like my mother. She told me, Pradeep, I think it's time for you to get out from the restaurant, and go. And I left the restaurant, and I went to Pillsbury. I did my MBA from the day. I worked very hard, and after that I was lucky enough to join the Walter Heller and Company, and I worked as a field examiner. And then I raised up a thing, and they are the one who put me through Kellogg Graduate School of Management in 83 to 85, And after that, Fuji Bank came, and they basically evaluated, So then Norman Blake came, and I have great respect for him and for Mike Litwin. So we were working PDP. They wanted the best, So Norman Blake was our chairman, and he was very friendly with me. And he used to tell me, Pradeep, you are the only person who can come to my office, So I remember he was joking with me that, Pradeep, we are buying a new building, so what should be the new name? So I gave him the new name. So then the name was given a Heller International. So we moved from 105 West Adam Street to 200 North LaSalle, and the name of the building was Heller International, Then also he had a slogan. He was a team player. So he was asking everybody that give me the name, what is the best thing. So I wrote Heller is a pioneer, Heller is a pioneer, like that. Suddenly it came to my mind, I will say, we are playing to win. My God, Norman Blake liked it, and you know what? he gave me $20 worth of McDonald's coupon, you know. I said, Naram, this is, he said, okay, Pradeep, I will give you $200, you know. So, you know, those are the things, small things, you know. You see, you have to recognize people. You have to recognize people, you have to work with people, you know. You don't have to just show that you are the boss, you know. It's teamwork, communication, you know. That's a beautiful thing of life, you know.
Yes. You are an extraordinary
I'm not.
man. Yes, you are. You are an extraordinary man.
And
with a great heart, a great vision, and you're really making a difference in the lives of people.
Well,
every time you share your story,
you know,
you're making a difference.
These two books, you know, on my life, you know.
Yes.
This book, my Connie, is the first one. It got nine reviews. 9 reviews, and there's so many documentaries over this thing. And this is the new one book has come. And now tell you, after this, you know, I'm getting so many calls from the different publication. They want to pay me tons and tons of money to get into the movie. But I told them that I'm not in the business of selling my wife, you know, until I know what exactly it is going to be there, you know. And I think if this book go into the movie, this will change the constitution of the United States.
I believe it will.
And I think it's time.
Yes.
It is time. You see, we cannot live in this world for years and 100 years, you know. We are getting old. Everybody has to die. And before we go, we have to work together. Whether it is, whether we do humanity, whether we do the education, whether we do anything, you know. So we have to do that.
Yes.
Now you basically are doing such a fantastic job, you know, basically bringing people into your program, you know, you are giving award them, you know, and every year, you know, you spend your own time, your own resources, your own thing in inviting people on the TV. And one day I can tell you, Dr. Todman, you are going to be one of the best place, you know. If today you are sitting with me, I can predict you may be next Oprah.
Well, I appreciate that. I count that as a compliment.
Yes, you can be next Oprah. You know, when Oprah can start, you can start this, you know. Oprah was nothing basically, at least you have some resources.
She is an amazing woman.
Well, you are an amazing woman too.
Yes, thank you.
You are an amazing woman too.
Thank you. And you are an amazing man, and we got to close this out, but I do want to just talk about the books.
Yeah, okay.
Just for a moment here. The Untold Secret of My Connie, my first and last. Are you sure not going to be any more loves?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
There will be a love, you know, with the humanity now. Yes, I will love. She is with me in my dreams, in my heart, you know, this thing. And you know, this Dr. Zivago, the song, you know, wherever there is my love, you know. That song, you know, which reminds me. When the girl in your arms is the girl in your heart, then you got everything. It's Dr. Zivago. You know, this is from the young ones, you know, by the Cliff Richard. And then this Dr. Zivago, that song, you know, basically is such a fantastic song. You know, this Dr. Zivago's Lara's theme. It's just a killer, you know, basically, you know, wherever there is a love, you know, it's that. So, you know, there is one thing which always remains in this world, you know, and that is the love.
Love.
Love always remains. You know, somebody died,
love
you know.
Love conquers all.
Love conquers, sweet words, you know, smile, you know, happiness and the good karmas, everything goes in your life, you know. Education is not basically to get a degree and go there. Education teaches us how to live in this world, you know. How to treat, you know. How we treat a waiter, you know. How we treat a taxi driver. How we treat a person, you know, who's working in this thing, you know. That is education. That is education. Education does not mean that you become a top thing and then don't worry. We are all equal. Some people are fortunate enough that they have resources, you know, to make a lot this thing. Some people cannot. So, but they are human beings. They are human beings. They are
right.
And everybody has to, regardless of millionaires, we all have to go into the same place, you know. You know, your body size is this. You all have to go there. There is certain things, for a grave, it's the same size. Do you have to remember that?
Have to remember that. I just firmly believe that God has given us,
Yes.
Each one of us, our
Yes.
unique gifts and talents, whatever it
Yes.
might be, and we are to carry out that gift and that talent. And
Yes.
if we carry out the gift that God has given us, it will guarantee us success in our life. So we don't have to try to be like somebody else or copy off someone else. We need to be that unique person who God created us to be. And if we will walk into that and tap into that, we will be successful at whatever we do, whether it's sewing in the home, being a seamstress for the community, or cooking cupcakes, or being that CEO of your own business, or whatever it is. Whatever you do, God created you to do, is where your success lies.
Success is basically what you feel success in your own thing, You don't have to worry that what people are going to think about your success. Your success is your success, Your house
Focus
is your house.
on your success.
Yes, focus and do how you can get better, And if you cannot get better, just try to maintain that what you have,
Yes, and believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Yes, be full of confidence
You
and
see,
do what you do.
Listen, a man is born alone and he will die alone. We have never taken, anything with me. Look at, Michael Jackson. All these wealthy people, have they taken anything with them? Have they taken anything? They all leave behind, And what happens after that? Then they leave the fight. Look at Michael Jackson is gone. This princess is gone. Now they are fighting with the money. Money is a curse, basically, to some degree. Money is very powerful tool, as long as you can maintain. But too much money can cause a problem.
Well, it's the love of money. The love of money is the root of all evil. It's not the money, it's the love of money. People will kill, steal, whatever they have to do for money, and that's not the purpose of it.
No, it's not. Maximum amount of murders, every single thing take care of the property, money, woman, wine, and every single thing. If we can control all this thing, we have achieved something in life, And we have to make a difference, Just like John F. Kennedy said, don't ask what you want, just say what you can do for the country, That's the thing, What we can do the country,
Yes.
I should not ask Donald Trump, Mr. President, that
what can you do for me?
I can ask him, Mr. Donald Trump, what can I do for you? Look at
Absolutely.
We can difference,
Yes.
If we go all together, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, and we go, Mr. Donald Trump, tell us, what we can do for you. Things will change. Things will change, Man has made the mess, and only man will have to correct it.
Yes.
There is nobody who is going to come. And life is a duty.
Yes, it's all about unity and people coming together with oneness, one common factor, coming together, unity, and it can change the world. It can change
the world.
Yeah.
And even if there is any differences between anything, their differences can be solved,
Yes.
You just sit down, talk about, and agree, disagree, but work together. There is no reason for you basically to have a very, very different approach of, hatred, When the hate comes in the politics or in this thing, that's a very sad thing. And last thing I would definitely like to say, I would like to say this to message. I think we should try to see that when this economy is going down, wherever, these CEOs, they should not try to drain out the company now. They should be very satisfied that even if they're getting, nobody is worth $150 million a thing, Nobody's that worth, They all basically is a greed, They want the free ride, They want the charter plane, they want the dividends, They want the stock option. There's no reason. There's no reason. And then they die. They die, from later on.
They die and it goes to someone else, and then the greed begins again.
So many people,
Yes.
they die, then they get involved with this. The money, when it comes, then in money you become, into the, again, into the, whether you have a second affair, then the drinking habits, all these things. That can also polish with all that, If you don't have any money, you cannot food, how can you just even do the other things,
Yes.
You have to think about all these things, One thing leads to the other thing. If you have too much money, you will go to a nice place, have a nice steak, order dinner, wine, this thing, that thing, and then you come across some ladies, then you get involved with all these things. It's a very dead circle, I'm not saying that it happens with everybody, but it does happen, If there's no money, you cannot afford, how are you going to go to Thailand? How are you going to go to different, So be satisfied. Be grateful to God, what you have given, You should be very, 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 very kind enough all the time. I'm very grateful to the God, that God, where I was, where I am today. I remember my old days, also. I never had anything, My circumstances were like that, but I was happy. At least I got education. I went to one of the best colleges in the thing, and I'm a success, whatever I am. My brother is very successful, and I feel very upset for my brother Arun Berry that he also lost his wife Shobha, and she was a very nice person, So, he's going through the same.
Going through what you went through.
Yeah, went through the thing. So now basically he knows that what I went through. So now my heart goes, And last thing I can tell you, money does not make you happy. This in India there is a lady. She was married. She was very rich. She was a queen of Jaipur, Gayatri Devi. When her husband Man Singh died, he was a very wealthy man, and they are still very wealthy in India, in Jaipur. She made an arrangement. She told my uncle that Pran, since my relatives have gone, I'm very unhappy. She was very unhappy because she lost all her relatives, after her husband died, then his uncle, mother, sister, everybody died, and she was very unhappy because she was feeling very lonely, And this happens,
It's not the money that makes you happy.
No,
it's
money,
the love and the fellowship of family and friends.
And there is this last saying that people think money is everything. They have not seen the money. They have not seen the money. Let you see the money, then you will know. Money has never made everybody happy. Yes, it gives you a tool to basically enjoy, but that tool is only limited. How much we can eat. As we age, our appetite goes down.
And what's really important as we close out is learning to love and being able to appreciate your wife.
Appreciate your wife.
Appreciate your husband, your family and friends, because we, at the end of the day, we really don't know how long they're going to be with us.
Yes.
And we don't know how long we're going to be here. So
nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Yes. So we must learn to live life to its fullest.
Yes.
And learn to love and learn to live.
Yes. And last thing I will say before, Gandhiji said, woman is the incarnation of tolerance. Women tolerate every single thing. She will tolerate even if her husband has been cheating her or something, it will be hurtful to her. But if he suspects her, that's a death for her. That's a death for her. So woman has to be everything. And I am fully in thing with the woman, Woman's right, children's right, girls' right, they're all our sisters.
We all have our rights.
We have to protect them,
Yes.
We have to protect them, and that is the one empowerment, I think, and that unless we give freedom, unless we give more leverage, thing to the woman, I think we will be still living in a dark age,
Yes. Well, I enjoyed this time with you.
And same thing with you.
I've learned so much more about you. You are such an extraordinary man.
No, actually I'm not, but I'm so grateful to you, and we had a very stimulating contribution, we had a very thing both about all our life,
Yes.
And hopefully, if God is willing, we will be
carrying on. We will do this again.
We will do this again,
Very soon.
And I think very soon, we will bring more people into the show,
Yes. And thank you. We gotta go.
Oh, okay.
But thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We gotta do this again.
Yes, we got to go.
Okay.
And thank you very much for inviting me.
And God bless you.
God bless you. And